Blood Relatives is now on Shudder. I believe it started streaming yesterday, correct?
Yes, yeah, on the 22nd, Tuesday the 22nd, just in
Yeah.
time for Thanksgiving,
Well, it's perfect
or
timing.
Fangsgiving as we're calling it.
Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's like we're not quite letting Halloween go.
Well, this Thanksgiving, not just your family sucks.
You know what? I once I saw the tag, because I saw the film at Beyond Fest, in like the festival screening series. I was at Fantastic Fest too, but the Fantastic Fest screening was totally sold out, and I could not get into it. So I went at Beyond Fest, and it was a great screening, in my opinion. So I just wanted to say that when I saw the tagline, family size, I can really relate to that. So yeah, it's an instant like boom. It's funny, but it's true.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, there's a lot to the film. It kind of takes like vampirism as kind of a metaphor or a symbol for the loss of identity, in my opinion. And but also like finding family in ways that are non-traditional, because when people think of like family, you think, okay, your parents, your grandparents, your siblings, maybe some cousins, but blood ties. But I think that the film kind of also introduces the idea that you can find and make family as well, even though like blood relations are the most important. So where did you come up with the idea?
The idea for the film, or sort of for that dynamic?
Well, why don't we start with the idea for the film?
The idea for the movie really came from becoming a parent, and sort of comparing, the life that I had lived, which, was one kind of vampire life where I got to stay up late and drive my cool car around, and, and wear my leather jacket and think that I was, a real cool guy, to, being a dad up in the middle of the night, and,
Yeah.
and burping a baby, and, and trying to, stay up at 3 a.m. with a bottle in my hand, and sort of reconciling those two things as both lovely things and as both true things, and to sort
Mm-hmm.
of not look at it as as who I am today being better or worse than who I was back then, just different, but they're both me.
Yeah. Which kind of also it's about your identity, like, because when you become a parent, it is kind of like that shift of your identity before and after.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's an adjustment, and
Yeah,
maybe it's not and it's not easy, because yeah, that's who you were. It's just it's an entirely different thing.
yeah.
So about the second half of the question, what do you think about that? I made this statement about like the themes and what's going on in your film. Do you disagree? What do you think about it?
Well, I think, thematically, it felt like it became really important to, connect these people and to connect them over that familial tie. But, I appreciate, and I think, you're absolutely right that, whether our family is related to us by blood, or they're people that we've chosen, it really becomes how we treat them and how we
Mhm.
trust them. And so there are relationships in the movie. There's a relationship that Francis, the character that I play, a vampire character,
Mhm.
has with an older woman who he's known for 60 years, who, you know, treats him with a familiarity and with a trust. You know, he has a trust for her that is a familial level of trust. And so she's able to kind of give him some truth that
Mhm.
might otherwise be hard to swallow. And I think, you know, that's a great example that of sort of the concept of family is a very big umbrella. And it was a nice chance to be able to a little bit here and there sort of try to show as many different colors of that as I could.
Yeah, and I think you did a really good job. In particular, like the scene between you and the older woman, it's very sweet and touching. And it's not the only part of that that's it. But at the same time, you're mixing the tones with like the comedy, because
Mm.
absolutely there's some comedy. And you, do you have any, like, I know because I heard you speak at Beyond Fest, but I was just wondering if you would elaborate on like what some of your touchstones were for like or templates for the film that you made, if there are any films that were your big influences.
You know, the biggest influence was Paper Moon, which
Mhm.
is a road trip movie about a father and a
Mhm.
daughter.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite films, and a great genre movie. It's not a spooky movie. It's a sort of a heist movie, a crime movie, and
Yeah.
a period piece, you know, but just sort of seeing how that dynamic could play out in a genre film, it was very inspiring,
Hmm.
and visually inspiring as well. Tonally, uh, you know, the two big ones for me were Blood Simple and Raising Arizona, the two first films by the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
And those movies sort of both share, you know, tonally they're often different, but also there's a certain absurdity that I think we've come to find from the Coens, that even though they're playing within genre, they're not afraid of being self-aware. They're not afraid of being referential, and that kind of made me feel comfortable in terms of doing that. So, you know, those were not necessarily horror movies. There were some spooky movies and vampire movies that inspired me: Near Dark, Ganja and Hess, The Hunger, um, Martin, of course. Martin was a big
Yeah.
one. George Romero's Martin. Trouble Every Day, the Claire Denis film. But as far as sort of the kind of the non-genre sort of tonal story aspects, you know, is Paper Moon and a lot of Cohen's.
Yeah. And I could definitely see that. I can definitely see the Near Dark in there as well. Because I was just to kind of give myself a sample right before I spoke with you, I turned the film on and I was like going through certain things. And it does have a lovely cameo from Josh Rubin in there. I which I think it's yeah, I don't want to give it away because you know I want people to experience it because I think that's part of it. But it's the film is, you know, it kind of like is very balanced between like, you know, heartfelt things and things that are funny. You
Oh,
know,
I appreciate that.
not like slapstick pratfall most of the time, but you know, just humor in the situation. And with this, since you did write the script as well, how did you find it easy to like balance those two tones?
Uh, you know, I don't know that I don't know that I found it easy. Nothing is easy when you're making a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
Surprisingly, nothing is easy. Uh, uh, I um, I think that I found that I felt like I knew those tones. I felt like I knew the tone that I was going for, and then it was
Hmm.
just sort of a question of, okay, can you achieve it? And then, you know, the sort of the fingers crossed prayer that you're going to make it work when it's all put together, right?
Hmm.
Because, you know, part of the conceit of the movie is that you're like, well, now I'm being really honest and sincere, and now I'm being sort of silly and snarky, and now there's a vampire, and now there's a road trip, and it's like, you know,
Hmm.
it's a lot to ask of an audience. And there you really gotta kind of go along with it. And the one thing that was really important to me was just to try to make decisions that made people smile, because I always felt like whether or not you're into vampires, or whether or not you're into a road movie, or some weird, father-daughter coming of age story, if you're smiling and you're finding it humorous, you're not going to turn it off. I've turned off a lot of movies for a lot of reasons, but the
Mhm.
hope is that if people are smiling, they're going to keep watching.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're doing a lot of work in this film. You wrote it, you directed it, you're one of the lead actors. How did you, I mean, that's, like I said, it's a lot of work. Did you find it difficult, or how did you work with the actors when, you were also, you're directing the film and you're crafting your own performance?
Well, the good thing was, I think I mentioned this, that, there was this sort of sense that everybody felt unified by the script. There was a lot of support for the script, which was nice, because it didn't feel like it didn't feel like it was necessarily about me. It felt like it was like, we all like the script. We can all agree on that. You don't have to worry about little old me here,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
all this other stuff. And so there was a good attitude, I think, about that. And then, just mainly because of Vic and all the actors, but especially Vic, because we spent so much time together, being able to just check in with the other actors and trust them and sort of go like, are we where we need to be? Is the vibe right? Actors, maybe this is going to sound like I'm getting high on my own supply here, but actors are good directors. And actors know, they're an actor's job is to sort of like, it's not just to say your lines, it's not just to be 100% honest, it's also to kind of know what's going on and know your environment and know your tone. And we were
Mhm.
just so lucky between people who were local, like, Akasha and Brian, who play Hilda, and our security guard, and John Goulson, all these people popping in for one day, Korea Dominguez, or people who are my friends, who are like masters of the craft by any, people like Tracy Toms, an old friend of mine, or Doug Benson, old friend of mine.
Mhm.
The Josh Rubin, our producer, and also a great actor in a lovely scene in the movie. I mean, point being is that everybody seemed like they knew kind of where we needed to be. And so I was able to take a lot from that. I was able to look to them.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard from quite a few people that they say that like casting is most of the work. Like once you cast the right people, you do less work. And it
Yeah.
sounds like that might have been what happened.
Yeah, there was I was very lucky, that I'd been on the other side of things enough times that I felt like, I was able to disassociate and kind of take like a bird's eye view and sort of say, hey, if the tables were turned, would I like this situation? Would I,
Yeah.
would I be comfortable? Would I, want to work with this person? And sort of, because I mean, meeting an actor for the first time as a filmmaker, or meeting a filmmaker for the first time as an actor, it's sort of like, it's like a blind date. You don't know each other. You're just going in and sort of shaking someone's hand and saying, you know, do we even like each other?
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of like either that whole like chemistry, and I'm not talking about like romantic chemistry, but just like chemistry between people
Yeah,
in general. Are you the type of person that I can trust and work with? Because trust is a big important part of, particularly as actors, but also as directors.
that's
Can you
it.
trust this person? Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're working on a low budget and you're working on a tight schedule, I mean, people have to want to be there.
Hmm.
And that is really the job of the director. The job of the director is to create an environment that people want to be in and do their best work and feel like they belong. And so I think if you're not concentrating on that, you've sort of already lost the thread.
Yeah. And the particular, like, there's kind of a core like theme or part of the plot that seems very heartfelt to you, like the origin of of Francis's, the origin of Francis, where he comes from, and who he is as a person, or who he used to be. And one thing that I found interesting is that Francis's love of, well, he always plays Wagner, and Wagner was not a very nice person. Yeah. So I just wanted to ask you that particular part of the character, when he tells his story during the Holocaust, how it seems like it's kind of a heartfelt part of the story, really heartfelt part of the story. I just wanted to ask you about that. Like, whatever you have to say about it. I don't want to put like my thoughts on it. I just want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I appreciate that. I felt like when I became a dad and I had kids, I'm a fifth generation New York Jew, which is its own kind of culture. But very long story short, I felt like I had a responsibility to sort of share, my heritage and my culture with my kids. And especially over the last few years, there's been so much anti-Semitism and racism and sexism and just general discrimination of anybody who does not fit into the conventional sort of white male paradigm, that I felt like I was able to maybe speak on my experience and hopefully talk about feelings that a lot of other people have, that are their own experiences, but the feelings are the same, right? And so if we can connect on that level, if we can connect on the feelings, and all of a sudden we realize that we're all in it together and we all want the same stuff, right? And so that was my way in, and I was honored to do it, and I felt like it was sort of a more serious point that I should kind of hit. And the inclusion of Wagner, I'm a big Wagner fan. And of course, it's very strange. Wagner is probably the world's second most famous anti-Semite. Not a nice guy. And I thought the idea, that I could reclaim this, that I could say, I like this, and that this character could like this, and that it doesn't have to be about hatred. It can actually be about sort of, what does this mean to me as a person who just loves art? And can I make this art about my joy as opposed to about something that hates me?
Yeah. I was kind of, I had my idea about it, but I was just kind of wondering. I just kind of wanted to ask you.
I appreciate
get your unfiltered take, because it seems, yeah, I think it's really important that people do things like that they bring their own experience and they show people how that feels for them. Because, and I agree, like a lot of what's going on right now, it all comes from the same place, whether it's, someone who is anti-Semitic, or someone who's anti-LGBTQ, or anti-Latino, anti-Black. It's all basically from the same place. And if we can all like understand each other's feelings, I think it would be better off if we like understood each other and like worked together. I agree. Yeah. So, but it's a lovely thing to say about the Wagner, because it is beautiful music. It's just, the man is, yeah.
Yeah. But not a good guy.
Yeah. I'm glad that you feel that way, and that's what you wanted to do with it. I was just curious. Yes. Yeah. Do you have anything else coming up? I know Glass Onion.
But, Glass Onion drops today as well. I have a small fun role in that. I just we're trying to put together another movie. Me and my pals. You find people that you work with, and you want to keep working with them. So hopefully we'll have something soon to talk about.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it. And cool car. Can I ask what type? I'm not a car person.
That's the car of the movie. It's a 1969 Barracuda Fastback.
Ooh, nice. Yeah. And the guitar?
The guitar is not a nice guitar. It's like it's just like the thing I keep around when I'm bored, and I just, I'm not a good guitar player or anything. It's just it's there to just make me look like a cool guy who knows how to play the guitar, which I don't.
Well, and I did remember that you did you compose or sing on one of the songs in the film?
I wrote some of the lyrics to one of the songs that plays in the background of the motel scene. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's all part of our expression, and,
It
and you
is.
can
It
say,
is.
well, maybe you don't feel as strong with music, but that's how you get better. You just keep doing it.
You got to keep doing it. Absolutely.
Yeah, you learn more every time. But
Yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
art. Anyway, thank you so much for speaking with me, and have a great
You
holiday.
too. You too, Dolores.
Okay,
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye.